All right, welcome to Extra Magic Minutes, episode 4. We're back with the second half of our double feature today with a ranking of the Disney DVC resorts, which is a really hard task because some of the resorts have multiple DVC branches within them. So this is a complicated list, and some people may not be off the bat familiar with all of them, and we certainly haven't stated all of them, but
No.
I think we've thought about this enough to at least make a pretty well-educated rank of them, even though Genna's list is wrong and my list is right.
Mm. I just realized, how many do you have?
12.
Did you count ones not in Disney?
No, I didn't do those. Did you do those?
Okay, then never mind, because I forgot one and it would have messed up my entire list. So we're going to forget about the ones that are not at Disney. Great. So now I have
I
12.
feel we could do a whole dedicated episode to the non-Disney ones, which we both have limited experience with, so that would be a little tough. But I feel
Yes.
we
Okay,
could do it.
great. Perfect. So my number 12, Saratoga Springs. There's always availability, and that's great. I think the tree houses are super cool, and I would like to stay there. But the theming just does not do it for me. Honestly, it needs an entire refurb. The outside, the inside, the theming. I don't get it. I get what they're going for, but I think it's super weird that there's just pictures of random Disney horses everywhere. Like, I get that Saratoga, the horse racing and stuff, but like I see Philippe the horse and I'm like, wow, this is not something that I thought I needed in a Disney resort. So meh, that's why
It's also number 12 on my list, and it should be number 12
and
on everybody's list.
terrible restaurants. The quick service is terrible. The turf club is terrible. No.
All right, it has one thing going for it. It's still number 12 on my list, but the one thing it has going for it is the walk to Disney Springs. However, if you're not in the right part of this giant golf course resort, it's not exactly convenient to get there. There's one section of the resort that's called Congress Park that's easy to get there, and it's really close. But if you're not there, and that's like a higher tier like price, you have to pay more or use more points. It's more points to stay there. It's extra points to be closer to Disney Springs, which is maybe not even worth it. I think the biggest problem with this resort could be great. It's like the color scheme sucks, the theming sucks. It feels like a retirement community. It really does.
Yes.
It feels like a retirement community, or like there are definitely neighborhoods in Florida that look exactly like this and are nicer than this.
Yeah.
So I know a lot of people, like in the early 2000s when this was being sold by Disney as the new DVC resort, they sold. I know a lot of people that have, as their home resort. It's incredibly popular. Some people really love it. And then I know people that own Saratoga. I know people that have owned Saratoga since 2004, but have never stayed there.
Woof.
If that doesn't say something, then I don't know what does. It's too big. You have to take a golf cart to get to your room. It is the last place I would stay. I would definitely stay at most of the Myers before I would stay there. That being said, I stayed there last year and it wasn't terrible. I mean, they're redoing the rooms. The rooms are nice. It's just not. It doesn't feel like a super vacation-y. I wish they would retheme the whole thing.
Yeah.
Start from the ground up.
Yeah, I completely agree. The only thing is, I think if you're driving down, so we drove down in December and we stayed at Old Key West. That's why how big Old Key West is wasn't that big of a problem. But I think it's even more important at Saratoga Springs to have a car with you. So if you don't have a car with you, that's going to be a rough time.
It's always going to be number 12 on my list.
Yeah. So, we good? We ready to move on to number 11? Okay. This might be a little surprising. I have the Riviera at number 11. Have not stayed there yet.
I do as well.
Whoa. Yeah, it looks beautiful. Okay. It's just not that Disney theming like Animal Kingdom or the Polynesian or Wilderness Lodge that I like on a Disney vacation. I think I would rather. So I guess the question is, like, why would you go to Wilderness Lodge rather than the mountains in the Pacific Northwest? Well, because Magic Kingdom's right there. Why would I go to the Riviera at Disney World rather than going to the real Riviera where it's more authentic and probably even more beautiful? I don't have an answer to that question.
Yeah.
So I'd rather go to the real thing in that instance, which is the flip of, why would I rather go to Wilderness Lodge instead of an actual cabin kind of situation? Again, it looks nice. Topolino's looks awesome. You can see the fireworks. It looks like they have great food. It's getting great reviews, but it's not my aesthetic, and it's not the Disney theming that I think we're used to from the Eisner era resorts. And I think we're getting closer to, and I think Reflections is unfortunately going to be very similar. I think it's going to be kind of devoid of theming. But we'll see. So
I think what you're
if they have a
describing is,
Pocahontas statue in the lobby, I'm all for it at Reflections. But other than that, I think it's going to be pretty plain, just like the Riviera.
I'm holding out hope for Reflections, but I think what I've is in my head is just like this constant idea of like Disney resorts being like the Marriott-ification of Disney resorts.
Yeah.
It just feels like a regular like corporate business hotel with like a little sprinkle of theming. It feels, I'm not a fan of the move towards like Disney building up as opposed to building out, like these sprawling like grounds so you could walk around. That's what I'm used to. And there's nothing about Riviera other than the restaurant that has gripped me at all. Like I've watched like all the videos. I'm looking forward to visiting. The Skyliner is apparently great. That's a plus, but you don't have to stay there to get that. And it just, I think the other thing that's like rubbing people the wrong way, especially DVC owners or prospective DVC owners, is that it's selling for twice as much as like Saratoga sold for in 2000, or twice as much as, to be more relevant to a resort that we like. It's selling for almost twice as much as Animal Kingdom sold for in like 2007 when that was like being sold as new. It just doesn't make any sense to me. And the other thing is, another like bad sign is they have these, I don't know if you've seen the I'm not sure, I forget what they call them, but they have studios, and then they have the tiny studios. Have you seen the tiny studios?
Tower Studios, yes, the Tower Studio.
It's like the tiniest room where the bed folds down, like there's a couch and it folds down. It's like basically like a Manhattan apartment. And I don't know why that's the direction they're going. There's nothing wrong with that, but it should not be like, that room should not be more points than like how is that room more points than a 1-bedroom at Old Key West? Because Old Key West, you have all the space, it's huge. It doesn't make any sense to me. It just feels like wrong in so many, the direction they're going feels wrong in so many ways. Like if they were increasing the price totals and the resort was like beautiful and had an amazing theme, I think everybody could get over it, but it doesn't. It seems like it sucks. It seems like it's the wrong direction, and I'm like really discouraged about it.
And my last word on the Riviera is, they have the Skyliner, so does Caribbean Beach, and I'd rather stay at Caribbean Beach.
Powerful. That is a powerful statement.
Okay, my number 10, you're not gonna like it. It's Boulder Ridge at Wilderness Lodge. Yeah. So haven't stayed there. I've seen a lot of videos. Again, I love Wilderness Lodge, wearing the t-shirt right now. And if you watched our last video, it was my number 2 for deluxes, but Boulder Ridge I just feel like it's the old version of Copper Creek. And I feel like I don't know, have they recently refurbed?
No, or are it's coming up, I think.
Okay, it's coming up. Well, it needs to. Okay, this is such a weird nitpicky thing, but no, the rest of the resort doesn't really have like Disney characters. Well, that's a lie, because the Mercantile has. Okay, I have an issue with the Bambi pillow. Do you know what I'm talking about? They have that Bambi like throw pillow. I hate it. I don't know why I hate it so much. It doesn't look. It looks out of place in that room, and I don't understand why there was just like one Disney character, Bambi pillow, done. I don't get it. So, and the rooms look a little unthemed and beige.
Okay, well, I just stayed there a few months ago, and it's my number 2. Have you stayed there?
No.
Okay, that's fine. It's number 2 on my list, and I think that I can see why you wouldn't like it, because the rooms are probably amongst, if not the darkest rooms
Yeah.
in
And I
any.
think we all know that I hate dark rooms from the princess rooms.
Yeah, and this could potentially be darker because it's, if I'm understanding correctly, the princess rooms were dark. Like, was it the furniture? Like the theming of these rooms contributes to the darkness. Was the theming of the princess room contributing to the darkness, or was it just like the lack of natural light or the lack
No,
of
it was like, it
fixtures?
was brown and dark red everywhere.
Oh, okay. So that's like this. It's like all wood, like
Yeah.
rustic, and it's old and it hasn't been updated in a while. But that being said, Boulder Ridge is my number 2 on this list because of its dedicated lobby. It is like one of my favorite places in the whole world. The lobby at Boulder Ridge is so cozy. It's like a tiny version of the Wilderness Lodge lobby. It has at Christmas time it has its own tree, and then there's this little lounge with the biggest like rocking chairs ever, and there's like there's 5 or 6 different little fireplaces, and there's like always seating available at night. Sometimes we were there in November during like a relatively busy time, and like we would go there at night and there would be nobody in the lobby even though the rooms were filled. So I've never felt like more at peace at any resort I've ever been to than in the lobby of Boulder Ridge. It felt like, in terms of that DVC feeling of feeling like home away from home, I think they nailed it because it's a small little space that you can almost like claim to your own. And then there's a separate gym right there, but there's a separate pool kind of right there that everybody can use, but it's kind of right there. I loved it. Our room like overlooked that little wooden bridge to get into Boulder Ridge, and at night like you could just hear like they have like, I'm assuming it's audio of like crickets chirping and then the lanterns. I would stay there again in a heartbeat.
Okay. Maybe I just have to stay there and maybe the beigeness will offend me less.
Bring some lights though.
Okay. I will. Okay, so number 9, for the reasons mentioned in the previous video, beach club. It is impossible to get in there. I do not understand why. I understand why. It's because of the festivals at Epcot. But I try to go there in the fall, and September is supposed to be the least crowded time because all the kids go back to school, and still somehow I cannot get in the beach club, even if I wanted to, which I don't. But if I wanted to, there's no way. I don't get it. I don't get the appeal.
So it's low on the list because it's hard to get. It's definitely hard to get.
Hard to get, plus all the reasons, the smell and from Cape May Cafe, the lack of good dining options other than the what's it called? What's the with the ice cream? What's it called?
Peaches and cream.
Peaches and cream. Jeez. Yeah, so yeah. So for all the, and I don't like the vague beach theming. I think you can get that anywhere in Florida or anywhere in along the
Agreed.
coast.
Beach Club is number 6 on my list. I again, like, I can't shake this like romanticized image of it I have in my head. I mean, I do love the colors. I like what it's like trying to do, but at some point I'm going to stay there, and it's either going to like be confirmed for that kind of spot on my list, or it's going to be like drastically demoted, which I think is very possible. But I feel like there's like potential there, and maybe it's just because people have talked it up to me, and maybe because I've gone there and I've looked. It is pretty to look at on the outside, in particular. That it's number 6 on my list for now, because I feel like I prefer to the ones that are in between where we are now and 6.
Okay. Number 8 is the boardwalk. Where is the boardwalk on your list?
Number 8 is Boardwalk is also number 8 on my list.
Bam. Yeah, for all the reasons I said before, it's just, again, with kind of like the beach club and the yacht club, just that vague beach/boardwalk theming. I've seen the rooms, they look kind of worn to me. The tables are kind of worn looking, and the the couches and things like that look a little worn. I just think those rooms need a refresh, and the resort as a whole just isn't my favorite theming. So, but the rooms specifically in the DVC side, I think, contribute to why I have it at number 8.
Yeah, Boardwalk. Just to rehash a little bit of our thoughts from the previous video that we like completely shared for people who are just clicking on this video. we both mentioned that there's like this weird creepy element to the theming at Boardwalk. There's like the conflict between like the obvious like elegance that they're going, like just turn of the century Boardwalk Atlantic City elegance versus like the creepy clowns and the face chairs. It's just weird. Even if that's inspired from something that was very real that existed during that period, it doesn't sit right with a lot of people because to me it detracts from like the elegant vibe they're going for.
Yeah.
Excuse me. That being said, like there's some beautiful rooms there, especially the DVC. Like they have that whole section. I don't know if you've seen it in videos. It's like basically like this beautiful little garden. And some of these like two bedrooms and 3-bedroom villas have this like little patio, like this big patio, and it's really pretty, like in its own way. It's almost like the Polynesians. Like the Polynesians like clicked with me and clicked with a lot of people in a way that we can't always perfectly describe. This place does not click with me in a way that I can't perfectly describe. I don't know I'm not really sure what
it does for so many people. That's what, like, not with me either, but it really does. And a lot of DVC owners, especially, you know, people who bought in, because Boardwalk was one of the first, and I think it was the second, if I'm not mistaken. But people love it there. And I just, like you said, it just doesn't click with me, but it definitely clicks with other people.
And I think maybe that's because maybe that's the first time I visited there was probably over 10 years ago. And I remember walking the boardwalk at night and like just being disappointed by like relatively how little there is compared to the boardwalks here, particularly the boardwalk in Ocean City, New Jersey, which is the one I'm most familiar with, which goes on for like many blocks. And you could just spend time walking back and forth and just kind of exploring, even if you've done it before. I feel like the boardwalk at the boardwalk resort gets old very quickly. Like you can't just like, I don't think you could spend, I'm sure people do, but you can't spend every night just out there. Maybe people do, I couldn't. There's just not enough.
Yeah. I also know that people love the Boardwalk Bakery. Like they go out of their way to go there. I don't get it. I'd rather go to the Germany Pavilion or something and get caramel. Like I don't see the appeal, but I know people do. Christina Hiller, if you're watching. But okay, so that was the Boardwalk. So number 7 is Kidani Village at the Animal Kingdom.
Oh,
it is that walk. That walk is insane. It took my dad and I 20 minutes to get to our room. We're already inside for 20 minutes. Like, why does it take 20 minutes to walk from the lobby? I get because the savannah, but like you could have done like a bridge over it, enclosed with glass so you could see how. I do not get it. That U shape is just kills me every time. And like I said in the last video, the fact that I mean, Kidani does have Sanaa, and Sanaa is life bread service, but not having a quick service there, I think, really does affect how you have to plan your days if you stay at Kidani. And it is, I think, the farthest resort of any resort on property to anything else, basically. Not only are you not right at Jumbo House, you're farther than that. So that's why I have it at number 7.
I agree. I have Kidani at number 5, so it's not super different. I've loved my time there. Sanaa is basically like my religion. It's that good. But the lack of quick service is a serious issue. It really is. And if you can manage to go there and not go to Jumbo, it feels a lot better. But realistically, you want to go over there. You want to see their lobby. You want to see their gift shop. You want to see their little savannah. Right. I think the flaws are overwhelming for some people. The hallways. I know. I have one friend who has DVC. They stayed at Kidani once, and they hate it because they ended up at the end of the hallway, and they will never go back because they don't want to risk that because it is annoying. Think about like going on the bus to Magic Kingdom, spending 35 minutes or whatever, getting back to the resort, and then having to make that walk. That's brutal, and that kills it for a lot of people. And there's no way to avoid it. I don't think there's like even as far as I know, there's no preferred room class that gets you closer to the lobby. There's like Savannah room standard, but there's no way to get. As far as I know, there's no way to get yourself closer to the lobby, other than going club level at Jumbo, which is a separate conversation. So
and I will say also, going off of what you just said, in September we did Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party, And so, you know, it's midnight, 1:00, 1:30 by the time we actually get back to the resort. And then we had that long walk, and it was brutal. It was absolutely brutal. Also, it was like still 90 degrees at night somehow in September in Florida. So we were just like sweating. And then you get back to the resort and you just want to get back to your room so badly. And you just, such a long walk.
I did the same thing in September. We were there for the Halloween party, and we really lucked out. We were really close to the lobby. We didn't even request it, and I am sure that
Must
was
be
a big
nice.
part of my impression of that trip. I mean, the pool at Kidani is really nice. I think I may even prefer the pool at Kidani to the pool at Jambo. It's a little bit more quiet. It has the same pool bar thing. The slide is almost definitely better, and I don't know, it's really cute. So it has that going for it. But like I said in the previous video, it is a bit strange that you have to walk, especially if you're at the end of the hallway, you got to walk all the way to the lobby, out the front door, and then over to the pool, which doesn't feel super resort-y. So that's my
All
number
right,
5.
number 6 is the Grand Floridian. For a lot of the same reasons I talked about before, it's a little stuffy for my taste, but I think somehow the DVC side is a little less stuffy. Maybe that's because it has its own lobby and it has like the penguins from Mary Poppins, and it's a little more playful, I think, than the lobby, like the main lobby for the hotel side. I also like the rooms better on the DVC side from what I've seen. So yeah, I still has, you know, a lot of good restaurants, but it's just not, I don't think Grand Floridian is ever going to be at the top for me.
Grand Floridian could have potentially, and just hear me out on this, Grand Floridian could have been the lowest spot on my DVC list. And it's for a very specific reason that's not going to be immediately apparent, because this is like, I think once people hear me say this, I think they may agree. There's a real problem with Grand Floridian DVC, and that is a lot of people came in, a lot of older couples, a lot of younger couples came into like the DVC office and tried to buy Grand Floridian DVC. They would probably buy like 150 points or whatever to go once a year and stay in a studio. The problem is, and there's a great post on the Diz boards that kind of maps out availability at the DVC resorts, and it shows that there's so few studios. Like they didn't build enough. Like they didn't build enough to like almost ethically sell people a small amount of points. Like there should almost be like a 500 point minimum, because it's insane that people will spend all of the money you need to spend to buy Grand Floridian points and then like struggle to get a room. And if you look at those charts on the Diz boards, which you should be able to find if you Google like DVC availability Diz boards, you'll see that members are struggling at different times of the year. Like there's no reason, if you own DVC, that a standard room type you should have to like be like nervous about on the 11th month mark. And there are periods of the year, even at the 11th month mark, if I remember correctly, like forget it. So if it's low on my list because I feel like they really messed up. That being said, the rooms there are great. It's a 2-bathroom situation, 2 bathrooms. The rooms are beautiful. They're minimal. They're much prettier than the main Grand Floridian rooms. They're much more fresh. The building is separate, which is fine. It's close enough to the main lobby. Again, it's not the building. It's not the rooms. It's just purely this like technicality that I feel like they screw a lot of people over. Like it just shouldn't be like that. There should be a ton of studios, but I guess what they're figuring is if you're going to be a Grand Floridian family, I guess they thought people were going to be doing 1 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms in the Grand Villa, which this is like a whole different level of like money. But that's my problem with it. I don't know if that's a reasonable reason to put it so low on the list, but like I've always thought about that when I think about Grand Floridian DVC.
Well, that kind of leads into the opposite of how I feel about my number 5, which is the Polynesian, because they only have studios and the bungalows. And unless you have a million points, you're probably not going to stay on points or even ever, even on cash at the bungalows. So your only option is the studios. And like you said, the rooms are great. You have the 2-bathroom situation. It's awesome. But if you have a family, and let's say, and I don't know if I talked about this before, but if you have like 2 teenage kids, a boy and a girl, they're not going to want to sleep in the same bed next to each other, like, and the parents have the other bed. So you basically can't stay at the Polynesian without getting 2 rooms. And that just seems crazy if you have a reasonable amount of DVC points. So I think that was I understand why they did it, and I think it's good because a lot of people do want the studios to keep the amount of points down. I look for studios, but I think a few one bedrooms would not have killed them.
I still have Polynesian at number one on the list because I'm so in love with the Polynesian studios. They're so like happy. It captures all of that charm of the resort. The two bathrooms is awesome. And then there's the ones that face the castle, which is I feel like she's like that's my dream location. So it's still number one, but there's so many people I know that like will just not touch Polynesian for that reason. Um, I've seen a lot of people say don't buy DVC if you intend on staying in studios. I maybe there's some truth to that. I don't think that's true because there's plenty of resorts like Saratoga you can get studios, Old Key West, Animal Kingdom, Kidani, and Boardwalk. I mean, some of the studio availability exists, just not at all of them. Grand Floridian is the worst offender, and then
Yeah.
Polynesian offends in literally not having other options other than bungalows, which is out of reach. And it's like a whole like social political thing. Like the bungalows is like this huge class divide basically, where there's like the people who like
Yeah.
save up every year to stay in like a room, and then you see people walk into the bungalows, and it's like, all right, that's a whole different world.
Who are you? Who are you? If you've stayed in a bungalow or in the cabins at Copper Creek, comment below. What do you do? We should not have gone to law school, apparently. We should have done something else. Yeah, I don't understand how people stay there. I mean, here's the thing. If it's like a once in a lifetime trip, it's like your honeymoon and you want to stay in the bungalows for like 2 nights, I get that. But other than that, if you're staying a week at the bungalows, I don't understand your life.
The only other way I could
I
imagine
made wrong
people doing
choices.
it is if you squeeze in the maximum amount of people and everybody splits it, and then at that point it starts to become like accessible. But at that maximum amount of people, like you definitely have people like sleeping on the floor. I think they max at 8. I think the maximum is 8.
Yeah.
And there's
Mhm.
what there are 2 bedrooms and a pull out. So I still feel like you'd have people like on the floor somewhere. I don't know how people do 8.
Yeah. I also don't like how the bungalows kind of block the Magic Kingdom view for the first and maybe second floor.
Agreed.
Um, I don't think that's great. I think it's called like a lake view or lagoon view or something like that now because I can't really call it a theme park view because you can't see the castle because the
Yeah.
bungalows are in the way. So I will never understand Disney's reasoning for having that many. Like maybe build 5, but there's like 20 of them. Like why do you
And,
need all of
and
them?
I think the other weird thing about them is that I've been like to the Polynesian numerous times and now to Wilderness Lodge with their cabins where you walk by them and it's like relatively apparent that they're not even occupied. Like
Right.
they're not like always used, which I guess makes sense because what is the point total for one night in a bungalow? It's like 450 or
Yeah.
something. I don't remember. It's
Yeah.
it's hundreds of points per night. It's like more points per night than people have like in their entire account for the year.
Yeah.
That's
Yep.
how crazy it is.
Yeah.
It's a big difference.
So that's why I have Polynesian at number 5. Number 4, I have Bay Lake Tower, which I think is huge considering my second to last favorite deluxe was the contemporary. I like the rooms better. I like the lobby better. I think it's more cohesive of a design. I think it looks way less dated. Um, the theme park view from the tower, that's like, on the bucket list of rooms I want to stay in for DVC. I just think it's all around just like a more cohesive, more actually modern, more like actually contemporary to 2020 than the main building is.
I have Bay Lake at number 9, and I'm like definitely open
That's
to
fair.
changing my mind on this, but like I can't get over the lack of like I get it. It just again it feels like Marriott themed, like we've said before,
Yeah,
like I
yeah.
said before, which a lot of people love. It makes a lot of sense with little kids, right? Like you could just walk over to the park, you can walk them back for a nap. It makes a lot of sense in a lot of ways. I just can't get over the lack of theming. I feel like if I stayed there, I'd be like, okay, well, if I'm staying here, then I have to go to Animal Kingdom Lodge for dinner, and then I have to go like over here for dinner. Like I would be trying to replace the lack of theming with like other experiences, which I don't have
Mhm.
to do when I like return to even a place like Riverside, which is like super cozy by itself, you know?
Yep, that's fair. And also the opposite of that Bambi pillow, there is there's like a pop art kind of style art of the castle, and that's like, I love that. Even though that's not really my personal style, I love that. And it bumps, that one piece of art bumps Bay Lake up, whereas like that Bambi pillow bumps Boulder Ridge down.
Do not
Huge
place
effects. This art has
do
huge
not place
effects.
themed pillows in Jenna's room. That's the lesson
I don't
of the
I
people
don't have a lot of
designing.
pillows in general. Like, give me the pillows that I need to sleep on, because the other ones are just going somewhere else and they're not getting cleaned enough, and that's a whole separate issue. Or like decorative throw blankets, like no, never ever. Okay, anyway, so I'll get over that now. Number 3, I have Jumbo House.
That is my
So
number 4.
I had Kidani like halfway down the list. Jumbo House has everything that I wish Kidani had. It's one closer to everything, not by a significant amount, but by enough. It has a quick service like Kidani doesn't. It has more restaurants, even though it doesn't have bread service at Sanaa. But I love Jiko and Boma just as much. So that's why I have Jumbo House at number 3.
Yeah, I think like what's missing from a place like Riviera and Bay Lake, for that matter, is, and the Contemporary, is when you walk in. Like, I think for me, I think that's maybe my favorite like wow factor moment when you walk into the Animal Kingdom Jumbo lobby. That it's
Oh
just
yeah,
it's
for sure.
so beautiful. It's smaller than the Wilderness Lodge lobby, but I think it's almost, maybe because, I don't know if it's because it's newer. I just think it's the theming. It's so beautiful. There's like little stands all over with actual like African art. It's, I think like Joe Rohde's presence is so felt because he does such a great job of like combining like, you know, like a corporate Disney vibe with like something that becomes authentic, almost feels authentic. He's so good at that, and so many people can't do that. And I think when you like walk into the Animal Kingdom Lodge lobby and you feel how beautiful it is, and you have those meals, which the meals aren't necessarily super authentic, you just like feel what is missing from the new generation of hotels, which is like almost like it has like a personality and like a soul. And
Yeah.
Animal Kingdom Lodge is like second on like my list of hotels that are, in just terms of their like kind of intrinsic charm. It just really has something very special going for it. It should be higher on my list, but it's not in terms of DVC. I was going to ask you, if the framing of this is like, is this where would you want to stay DVC, or where would you want to own DVC? Because if this is where you want to own, then this is like my list. Because I don't want to commit to a resort where like there are major flaws, even as beautiful as it is. You know what I mean?
I mean, so I own a Copper Creek, and I haven't stayed at Copper Creek yet. So I don't know if this is a where you want to own, where you want to stay. To me, this is like, if I had the pick of where to stay for a week vacation, where would I want to stay? At least
Okay.
that's how the list was for me.
I
So
would
because
maybe,
I mean, you can own anywhere and in theory get in anywhere.
right. I would bump up Animal Kingdom if it was just for a week. But if this is like a long-term commitment, then that's why I bumped Animal Kingdom to 3 and 4, Jumbo and Kidani. Or what is it, 3 and 4?
Okay.
4 and 5. I'm sorry, 4 and 5, because of some of these issues we've discussed. But other than that, I mean, I think the beautiful thing about this list is like it's very hard to go wrong until you get towards the bottom of the list.
Yeah. So, and I also think just overall, I think it's interesting that the 2 of the 3 dedicated DVC resorts are at the bottom. That's unfortunate.
Yeah,
Riviera
that
and
is true.
Saratoga Springs.
That's
Yeah.
true. That's a good point.
Not that which leads me into my number 2 pick, Old Key West. Where do you have it? Where is it on your list?
I have Old Key West at number 7.
Okay. Have you stayed there?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It does have a lot of the same problems as Saratoga Springs if you don't have a car. But I feel like there are more bus stops, and maybe that's not true. And it just feels smaller. I don't know whether that's the charm of it that makes it feel smaller. But we stayed there over Christmas, and we were in a 1-bedroom. It was like an apartment. I could live there. It was huge. It was spacious. It was the beach theme that I wish Beach Club and Yacht Club had. It's airy, it's fresh, and you still have some Disney touches, like they have the Mickey and Minnie holding hands. picture and things like that. And you have like some Mickey shaped, I think lights or something. So you have a little bit of those touches, but it's not overwhelming. Whereas I feel like Beach Club and Yacht Club and Boardwalk are completely none of those touches. And I'd rather have a little bit of it than none. Just it was huge, spacious, pools everywhere. There were so many pools. Olivia's is great. The fried chicken is wonderful. And we weren't staying near the hospitality house. We were in room 2011, which is, I recommend to anyone, if you're staying at Old Key West, get room 2011. If you want a 1-bedroom, request it, because it was a beautiful view. It was one building away from the bus stop and one building away from a pool. It was the perfect location, beautiful view. You have that little like porch thing that has the overhang, and we were like right next to it. Like it was perfect. It was beautiful. And my mom, before this trip, was kind of iffy about Disney. The last time she was there was in 2000. And this Old Key West sold her on Disney. So that's why I am indebted to Old Key West, because it sold my mom on Disney.
I stayed at Old Key West in, I think it was 2015 for the first time, and I had never even been there before. And I feel like Old Key West is everything that like Saratoga Springs perhaps should be. But this is 7 and up is the point of my list where I feel like you could have an equally good experience. Like everything above 7 is like basically on almost on the same level. I can't get over how big it is. I think that's why it ends up on like the lower end of my top 7. But like you said, the rooms are unbeatable. It's the theming is beautiful, and I think there's like this special sense of like, this is the original DVC resort. There's like a sense of community amongst the owners there. So if you can become part of that, that's really nice, especially if you can get an extended contract. I think that's a goal for a lot of people. There's some people that will only stay there. There's some big families that will buy in there to go to a 3-bedroom villa. And like, that's where they stay every year. So it has so many things going for it. It's so beautiful. And I would say they're in a heartbeat. So it's not like other places on this list, like Bay Lake, where I'd be like, Old Key West is a place I would like book and like be excited. Like no issue.
Gotcha. All right. That makes sense. I definitely agree with Old Key West is everything Saratoga Springs should be, but it's not. But I understand the problems about how big it is, and definitely it's not as not overly themed, but as themed as some of your favorite places and my favorite places. It's a different feel. So I feel that. So my number 1 is Copper Creek. I own a Copper Creek. I haven't stayed at Copper Creek yet, but I like the theming of the rooms. As you can tell from when we were talking about the deluxe resorts, I love Wilderness Lodge so much. I think that's just you feel like you're in a completely different place, even though you're on Disney property. And I think that takes a lot of effort to do. And I think Copper Creek, it's pretty much brand new. So I think those rooms are just better than the Bambi Boulder Ridge rooms.
The Bambi pillow ruined everything. Copper Creek is my number 3. Boulder Ridge is my number 2.
Okay.
Copper Creek is number 3, literally just because it doesn't have that like separate isolated lobby. I feel like Copper Creek is probably better and nicer. I love the modern, that contemporary meets rustic wooden vibe. It has so much going for it. I just can't, like, I think my favorite part about Boulder Ridge is the lobby. So because it doesn't have that, it falls, but it's still in the Wilderness Lodge, which is a place that I would feel really great about like owning and going back to every year. So I think you made the right choice, both on this list and on your DVC contract.
Thank you.
It's not,
and I'm really
it's not the Wyndham, but it's close.
I'm really trying to get for next Christmas, not this Christmas, but next Christmas, I want to book it 11 months and stay over Christmas. That's like the goal. I missed out on it this year because I didn't think about it. But so now I have to like put that on my calendar, set an alert for 11 months out of when I want to go down. So
it's got to be one of the best places to spend Christmas. That would be awesome.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, that is our DVC list.
That is it. I think we did pretty good.
Yeah.
That was tough. That's a tough list to do. So I think we did well.
Yeah.
So
if anyone completely disagree with us, comment below and tell us how you would rank them. Worst to best like we did, or number them, and tell us that we're wrong.
Yeah, make sure to like and subscribe, and so that we can annoy you with more videos. Hopefully in the next couple days we'll have something else. All right.
Quarantine.
Yep. Right. Bye everyone.
Bye.